the little introduction of Reeco before you do the presentation?
Yes, please.
Okay,
Start.
yeah. Okay, thanks. Xin chào tất cả mọi người. Trước khi mà anh Ba Bác trình bày về các giải pháp quan trắc tảo thì mình cũng xin phép được giới thiệu sơ qua về Reeco. Thì Reeco là công ty được thành lập từ năm 2012, trải qua gần 10 năm hoạt động thì Reeco hiện nay đang là một trong những cái công ty cung cấp các thiết bị quan trắc chất lượng môi trường khí tượng thủy hải văn hàng đầu của Việt Nam. Thì hiện nay công ty có khoảng hơn 20 nhân viên, thì tập trung chủ yếu là các kỹ sư và các cái chuyên gia về môi trường khí tượng thủy hải văn. Thì Reeco hiện có cái trụ sở ở tại Thủ Đức, Hồ Chí Minh và đang tập trung các lĩnh vực như sau. Lĩnh vực đầu tiên đó là Reeco là cung cấp các cái thiết bị đo ngoài hiện trường, với các thiết bị đo phòng thí nghiệm, chẳng hạn như là các thiết bị đo tảo của AlgaeTorch, rồi là các máy phân tích cảnh báo sớm algae và cá, tảo và cá bằng phương pháp tảo và cá, hoặc là các cái thiết bị sắc ký khí và thiết bị TOC, các thiết bị đo dòng liên tục. Bên cạnh đó, Reeco cũng cung cấp các cái thiết bị, các cái trạm quan trắc online về khí tượng và thủy hải văn, và cũng cung cấp các cái dịch vụ cho lắp đặt, vận hành và duy trì bảo dưỡng các cái hệ thống quan trắc khí tượng thủy hải văn này. Reeco đang là nhà đại diện độc quyền của 9 các cái nhà phân phối, các cái nhà sản xuất và phân phối thiết bị khí tượng thủy hải văn hàng đầu của thế giới, bao gồm là BBE, Andera, Mirus, OI Analytical, YSI, Hayden Analytical, Hayden Isochamber, Video Ray or Hydro Bias. Thì trong đó là Reeco chính thức trở thành cái đơn vị phân phối độc quyền của BBE vào năm 2013. Thì nếu như các bạn mà có câu hỏi nào về Reeco thì các bạn có thể nhắn cái câu hỏi đó qua cái phần mà chat ở ngay cái group meeting này. Thì không biết mọi người có thấy ở cái cửa sổ bên cạnh cái cửa sổ meeting này nó có một cái phần mà để mình đánh các cái câu hỏi vào đấy không ạ? Thì theo như cái ý kiến của anh Ba Bác là nếu ai có câu hỏi nào thì sẽ đánh vào cái vùng câu hỏi, cái cửa sổ chat ấy ạ, rồi là anh ấy sẽ trả lời sau khi mà anh ấy thuyết trình xong các cái giải pháp về quan trắc tảo. Rồi đồng thời là trong quá trình mà anh ấy trình bày về các thiết bị quan trắc tảo thì mọi người làm ơn tắt hết các cái micro, rồi là tất cả cái video để cho cái đường truyền nó được ổn định. Dạ, cảm ơn tất cả mọi người, và bây giờ anh Ba Bác sẽ trình bày về các giải pháp quan trắc tảo. Hey Ba Bác.
Yeah, hi.
Yes, I finished the introduction. Okay. Could you please do the presentation now?
Yeah, of
okay,
course.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much.
So,
maybe I should stop sharing my screen. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, let me see. Stop video. Okay.
Now you can see my desktop.
Yes, I can see, but it's a little bit small. Can you make it zoom in or make it like full screen? Okay, great. Okay, so, wonderful.
Yeah, now I we should again consider that we should turn off our videos and our microphones, otherwise we will face a problem. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. My name is Babak Shekatyazin. Today I will present you a webinar for advanced microalgae and cyanobacteria measurement with AlgaeTorch. Okay, this webinar includes different parts, but the majority of this webinar, I will talk about the application of this AlgaeTorch, and also we will review problems regarding algae bloom and cyanobacteria bloom in different water bodies. So I will try to present a little bit at the end about features and the application of AlgaeTorch again. First of all, I should introduce our company. Our company name is BBE Moldanke. BBE stands for Biophysical Engineering, and the Moldanke is a part of our founder name that close to 3 decades ago, he started this company based on his research activities in Germany. We are located in north of Germany in a city named Kiel. We are expert in fluorometers, and it's our core business. On the other hand, we have online biomonitoring. Sometimes we name it toximeters, that we can detect toxins in the water. And also we are producing the leading edge ballast water testing based on International Maritime Organization. Leo, Chloe, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. It's very clear. Please go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. So in our company, beside manufacturing and designing product, we have other departments for research and developments, and it means that we are trying to cope different research and developments in our products. With fluorometers, what we are measuring is phytoplankton, or sometimes we name it microalgae. There are different families or different classes of algae or phytoplankton in the world that, for example, one of them is cyanobacteria. So with phytoplankton, phytoplankton are microscopic organisms living in the water, and they are doing photosynthesis. You see, I provided some pictures of this microalgae under the microscope. Our fluorometers, we have different solutions for different applications. For example, if you are working in a laboratory and you like to measure phytoplankton or microalgae in the laboratory, you can choose ALA, Algae Lab Analyzer, or Fluoroprobe or Phycola. In the other hand, for online station, for water monitoring stations, you can use Algae Online Analyzer. And of course, we have some solutions for portable measurement, AlgaeTorch, Fluoroprobe, and BentaTorch. Here is a picture of our products. This is ALA, Algae Lab Analyzer, that you need only a cuvette, 25 ml cuvette, and then you can put it in the chamber and it starts measurement. Here is a picture of AOA, Algae Online Analyzer, that it is a flow-through unit and it pumps the water inside the chamber and then starts measurement, and you can get the time series of different algae classes. And this is AlgaeTorch, this is BentaTorch for measuring phytobentosis on the surface, and this is a picture of Fluoroprobe. Today, we choose AlgaeTorch and we talk about AlgaeTorch. So again, what is the phytoplankton? Phytoplankton are microscopic organisms living in the water, and they are doing photosynthesis. They are valuable biomolecules in the water, and they are a source of the food for zooplankton and food cycle. But indeed, sometimes there is some threats of algae in the water. I try to categorize or summarize these algae bloom problems in the water in 3 categories. First of all, when we look at the problem, we can see the problem in the water sources. I mean, lakes, rivers. There is no difference between fresh and saline water, but this algae bloom happens in the fresh water and also in the saline water. the problem is like this. For example, the accumulation of the algae on the surface of the water. It affects the water body ecosystem because it doesn't let the sun goes inside the water. And sometimes it changes the odor, it brings malodor or bad odors of the water body, and also the taste of the water changes. Decaying of this algae bloom, it will bring more nutrients in the water, and sometimes, many times, we have a big fish kills in the water bodies or lakes because of the oxygen depletion, because at the night they are using oxygen, and then this water body get out of the oxygen. On the other hand, when you are coming to the drinking water treatment plant, you will see that this algae blooms change. For removing algae blooms, you should add new processes. Then also it affects in the filter clogging. It clogs in the filters. And of course, when you are using disinfection, you are using chlorine for disinfecting the water in the effluent of the treatment plant. We cause the releasing of cyanotoxins in the water. But indeed, the big problem is for drinking water. Untreated cyanotoxins may cause many problems of the human body. And of course, public health risks we can mention, and the costs of this new additional costs for treating this drinking water that affected by the algae bloom. So just taking a look in this slide, that what is the problem indeed. And so the problem happens when we have a high nutrient intakes into the water body. When we have agricultural activities brings, we are using fertilizer, and then during this drainage or rainfall brings this phosphate and nitrate into this water body. And if we have sunshine and solar energy, because this algae needs sun for their photosynthesis, and also if we have a good temperature, and they start to bloom. And when they start to bloom, in the first day, they have accumulation on the surface, and then they decay because lack of the nutrients, sometimes because lack of the cold temperature. By the way, this affects the ecosystem. And sometimes we have harmful algae blooms. I mean that sometimes there is some classes of algae that they are harmful indeed, and they have cyanotoxins in their body. And so for many drinking water plants, they are using conventional treatment methods, and they are not able to yield complete removal. So for this, for example, they should add active carbon in their treatment plants. Conventional surface drinking water, you know that they are using different process, and they are using disinfection. And when you are using disinfection, you see that this lyses the cell body, and the cyanobacteria cells, when damaged, it brings the cyanotoxins in the water. And here is a picture of this, how we need to increase backwashing and how much it affects the efficiency of the filters because of this filter clog and sedimentation tanks. More than 50% of cyanobacteria are known to carry toxin production genes. Cyanobacteria in the marine water, also in the fresh water, they can be dangerous. So we should take care of them. But what sort of danger threats they have? The first of all, they can carry toxins. On the other hand, sometimes they change the taste of the water for drinking water, and the people complains about the bad taste of the water. The third one is the odor. Sometimes in some water bodies or in the drinking water, you see there's a malodor. So for this, we can mention in the different components like geosmin or microcystin or MIB that we can mention them as a cyanotoxins. These acute symptoms after exposure of the microcystin, for example, this will bring different symptoms like nausea, vomiting, and of course they will cause a big massive fish kills in the water bodies. Cyanotoxin blooms, indeed, they affect the different business extremely. the majority of the effect treat is for drinking water because of the cyanotoxins, as we mentioned. On the other hand, for bathing water, when the people are going to recreational activities in the lakes or ponds, they can touch this water, and then this will be a big treat for them. And of course, aquaculture, when we invest a lot in the aquaculture and we have cyanobacteria bloom in this water, then this will be a big treat for aquaculture activities too. WHO, or World Health Organization, they produce the guidelines for blue-green algae, or let's say cyanobacteria bloom. They are saying that, for example, different levels, alert levels, and for example, if you have 1 microgram per liter chlorophyll A inside the water body, you should go to the alert level 1, and then they describe what is alert level 1. And if you go, for example, to if the concentration of the algae inside the water, or chlorophyll A inside the water, is higher than 50 microgram per liter, for example, I know that you should close this water body and you should find out how to the remediation process. By the way, the hepatotoxins blooms from all continents. They are on the world increasing. Every year we receive, there is many reports about the algae blooms and bacteria blooms around the world. For example, I here show you a report and studies in Vietnam that shows the cyanobacteria bloom in Vietnam. This study, for example, shows that mainly in the large reservoirs, they found that they take 17 water bodies in the vicinity of urban settlements, and you see that they found sometimes, you see this detected 11,000 microgram per liter of microcystin. That's already toxin in the water. Here is, for example, location, Travin, Langan, and the rivers, reservoirs, fish pond, and you see that the concentration of the chlorophyll A in their studies shows that sometimes it is unbelievably high. So what we should do for this, how we can deal with this treat, and there is a treat there, but you know that if we cannot measure something, we cannot manage it. So the first step apparently is monitoring, and after this monitoring we can predict and we can plan also different scenario, how to remediate this, how to clean it, and how to remove it. But how we can measure it? The conventional measuring method is that you should take a sample of the water and you should preserve it in the field and bring it to the laboratory, and normally in the laboratory you can do analysis. But it takes time, sometimes 1 day, 2 days, and so it needs special people, educated people, to take care of this analysis and also the sampling. So in these slides, I try to review different methods of this conventional method of algae analysis. The first method is counting under the microscope. The second method is a spectrophotometry. Here we extracted the chlorophyll pigments inside the phytoplankton body, and then we try to measure the absorption in a certain wavelengths. The third method is HPLC, and the method that here we are introducing is fluorometry, or the method that we use in AlgaeTorch is fluorometric method. All three first methods, they need a human resource. It means that you are not able to do the online measurement. You are not able to do the in situ measurement. All of them, you need to sample the water, bring to the laboratory and do the measurement. But with fluorometry, you don't need it. So you can perform in vivo fluorometry. What does it mean? In vivo or in situ fluorometry, it's very easy to perform the analysis. You don't need any treatment of the sample. It's inexpensive comparing to the other methods, and it is sensitive up to microgram per liter, and it's unbeatably rapid and fast. Here, there is a animation about the BB fluorometric. Yeah, please.
Xin lỗi mọi người, mọi người tắt dùng cái mic giúp em đấy ạ.
Maybe I can find.
Okay. Okay, yeah, I think they,
Yeah,
they already
sometimes
turned
it
off.
has.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sometimes
okay.
it's just like accident.
Now we have again. Please turn up your microphone. Yeah, here is an animation about our measuring method that hopefully we have.
The BBE devices for algae analysis use a unique method of spectral algae class differentiation to determine devices for algae analysis use a unique method
Can
of
you hear the
spectral
voice?
algae class differentiation to determine the
Yes,
content
yes.
of chlorophyll A as a proxy for the biomass. Algae class means a group of similar phytoplankton like diatoms or cyanobacteria. Like plants, phytoplankton, microscopic organisms living in the water, perform photosynthesis using pigments to turn sunlight into chemical energy. A small part of the absorbed energy is emitted by the main photosynthetic pigment, chlorophyll A, as fluorescence. If the algae are illuminated by the artificial light from LEDs, then the intensity of the fluorescence will be related to the amount of chlorophyll A inside of the cells. This method is the basis of the determination in the BBE fluorometers. 5 main spectral classes can be identified, which are related to the different algae pigments. These pigments cooperate with chlorophyll A to transfer the energy of the trapped light. Each class has a characteristic pattern of fluorescence at defined excitation wavelengths. This is termed the norm spectrum and enables the fluorometer to identify different algae in a sample. Assuming a given concentration of one algae class in the sample, the measured spectrum may look like this. Now, the BBE software, with its unique algorithm, searches for the best fit based on existing norm spectra. Looking at a measurement of a sample with 2 algal groups, the fluorescent spectrum may look like this. Again, the software searches for the best match. In this case, the combination of 2 norm spectra. An important issue is the effect of so-called yellow substances, or color-dissolved organic matter. These compounds have interfering fluorescence effects and will lead to incorrect measurements. Knowing the fluorescence properties of yellow substances, the BBE devices compensate for their effects. A sample taken from a water body will probably contain a mixture of different algae classes. Using the norm spectra of all classes and the yellow substances, the BBE fluorometers will find the correct chlorophyll A concentration for each class. The method has a high sensitivity, needs no sample preparation, and is unbeatably quick. BBE fluorometry is the standard for advanced monitoring of phytoplankton in the world.
Yeah. Can you hear me? Am I audible?
Yes,
Hello?
yes, I can hear
Okay.
you. Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Now I can add also that our fluorometers of AlgaeTorch is calibrated in the laboratory with the real algae culture. So it means that when you receive this AlgaeTorch, you can use it for real field measurement, so that you don't need to do any further calibration process in your laboratory or anywhere else. So AlgaeTorch is a highly portable and it's easy to use. It measures chlorophyll A without sampling, as I mentioned, and without any preparation, less than 20 seconds. Here is a picture of that, how simple is the measurement. Physically, in the AlgaeTorch, in the middle of AlgaeTorch, you can see a display that in the field, when you perform measurement, you can see here the results, and also you can use contact keys for setting, for doing any setting you like. For example, changing the measuring mode from the continuous to the single or time interval. Here, there is a sensor head with LEDs that, as we talked about, we excited the chlorophyll pigments inside the water with this LED. And also here is the connection to the computer. If you like, you can transfer the data to the computer. The new version of the AlgaeTorch also comes standard with the Bluetooth. And the data storage in the AlgaeTorch, we have internal data storage, and also we have a rechargeable battery. And the data storage is up to 2000 data set. So AlgaeTorch measures total chlorophyll A besides cyanobacteria concentration in the water. The measuring range is 0 to 500 microgram chlorophyll A per liter. The important part that I want to mention here is that the AlgaeTorch automatically compensates the turbidity effects of our measurement. You know that in the real field application, we have a turbidity, and this turbidity may affect our measurement. So we need to do this automatic compensation. That this automatic compensation normally you cannot find in cheap fluorometers in the market. How we can turn on the AlgaeTorch? There is a very interesting method of turning AlgaeTorch in the field, that if you quickly turn the instrument vertically up and then down, you will find the AlgaeTorch on. But of course, you can use magnet keys to turning off or on this unit. And it has also 4 capacity soft keys, water resistant, and you can use these keys for your setting. So it means that the design of AlgaeTorch is very handful, very user-friendly to perform a very easy measurement in the field. One of the interesting features of AlgaeTorch that I would like to mention here is its internal GPS receiver. If you are doing any measurement in the field, it recorded as position of the measurement, and then later you can export KMZ file, and then you can visualize this in a Google Earth software, and you can provide a very nice reports from your measurement. So AlgaeTorch accessories. The AlgaeTorch comes with different accessories for different applications and different customers. For example, as a standard accessories, you will find charger cable inside. It will come with a hard plastic case and manuals inside this. It will come with shallow water protection cable and also hand loops. You see that we design and we thought about any sort of details that you need for this measurement. You can order also shoulder bag, ropes up to 100 meters with a drum. On the other hand, if you need, you can order a power bank and direct read cable to be able to see also data on the laptop or your tablet. It has also telescopic rod. We can offer you calibration cylinder, and one of the important and one of the interesting accessories of AlgaeTorch is its performance test cap, that it makes you able to see that your probe is performing good or not. But let me here introduce you an application story of drinking water reservoir, dam reservoir. This was a dam reservoir in the Middle East, and the river you see here, river is here, and the water comes here, and here you see that the dam, and they have also this city here that providing, supplying the water from this dam to the drinking water, the treatment plants here, and then they supply the water to the city. A few years ago, the people in the city, they start complaining about the bad odor and taste of the water. Actually, in the treatment plant, they do everything perfect, but they didn't know why this happens. So normally they take samples also from the surface of the water, and they in the laboratory they say that there is no chlorophyll A, there is no cyanobacteria sometimes. But then after they use the AlgaeTorch, they found out that in the different depths we have a different algae or cyanobacteria concentration. Technically, the intake of the water in this dam was 4 meters below the water surface. So when they did measurement, sometimes they noticed that the change in the different depths, for example, you see in the 4 meters, you see that there is a difference measurement. So the real applications can come like this, and this is a snapshot of this Excel sheet. But however, you can use it in BB Plus software. The another application in Europe has this application in bathing water. bathing is an extremely popular and important leisure activity in Europe. You know that there is many ponds, many lakes in every city, and sometimes it was used by the pet or the people to swim there. The European bathing water sites shows that there was a well environmental protection for this measurement. There is also the web page that reported the quality of the bathing water in different parts of the, Europe, and this allowed people to make informed decision, decided where they should enjoy this inland and coastal bathing water. So for this application also there is many AlgaeTorch in use. Another application, maybe you have heard about the remote sensing or satellite image. So this is a picture of the Gulf of Tonkin. I copied from one of their scientific papers. They are using different colors for this algae, but indeed these pictures and satellite pictures is for a surface of the water, and there is no information from the depths of the water, so you cannot find any information from depths, and when there is a cloudy weather, no information at all. Therefore, we need some land-based units. We need AlgaeTorch, we need flower probe to take measurements in the different positions, especially in different places, and then we could first correlate this remote sensing data, and the other one also we can have enough information to take a decision for about algae concentration. So this was my presentation, and now we can have questions. If you have any questions, we can talk about our questions. Hello.
Okay, thank you for the presentation. Dạ, mọi người ơi, có ai có câu hỏi nào để hỏi anh Ba Bác không ạ? Nếu có câu hỏi nào thì mọi người cứ hỏi xong là em sẽ dịch ạ. Còn nếu có thể thì có thể là viết ở ngay cái phần mà phần chat, có cái cửa sổ Windows nhỏ nhỏ để chat, có thể là viết đánh máy cái câu hỏi vào đó ạ. Dạ, ai có câu hỏi gì cho anh Ba Bác không ạ? It seems like no one has any question, but please give them some minutes. Please give them some minutes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hello.
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 You can, if you like, you can turn on your video also.
Yes.
Please, bật máy lên chị ơi. Dạ. Bật cái camera lên. Dạ. Thì dạ, ban nãy có phải chị Duyên vừa mới định hỏi cái gì không ạ?
Dạ
Vâng,
đúng
Now
rồi
we
chị.
can see you.
Yes. Ngoài cái chat chlorophyll A đó, thì mình có thể chat được trong đó có bao nhiêu giống như là diatom đó chị, những loài tảo khác á.
Cái lỗi nghĩa là cái câu hỏi của chị là như thế nào ạ?
Ngoài mình chat cái tảo cyanobacteria thì mình có chat được diatom không chị?
Diatom à? Dạ vâng, đợi em một tẹo.
Hello.
Hello.
Okay. I thought that you out. Your microphone is off. Hello.
Sorry, I just have some technical problem now. Okay, I'm good right now. So Diatom. So her question is, does the equipment measure the diatom? Is that the diatom?
Diatoms is yeah. So is it the question that AlgaeTorch can measure diatoms, or is it the question is there any other probe that can do this measurement?
Bạn ơi, anh ấy hỏi là nghĩa là bạn chỉ hỏi cho cái thiết bị AlgaeTorch thôi hay là bạn hỏi cho cả các cái thiết bị khác để nó đo diatom?
I just talk about
AlgaeTorch, right?
AlgaeTorch. Yeah. Can we check diatom by AlgaeTorch?
Okay. Yes, she just asked about the AlgaeTorch only. There is measure diatom.
Okay, I would like to ask my my colleague, Dr. Detlef Lose, also to join to us. Detlef, have you heard the question? The question is that AlgaeTorch can measure diatoms or not?
Yes.
Would you please help me in this regard?
Yes,
Thank you very much.
Of course. The AlgaeTorch that measures total chlorophyll, including the diatoms, including the cyanobacteria, including the dinoflagellates, including the green algae. So you get an information about the total chlorophyll content. For the diatoms itself, this is a spectral class which is different to many others. You can use other devices like the fluoroprobe, where you have the distinct classes separated, but with the AlgaeTorch, it means that you measure total chlorophyll A from all algae and the content of chlorophyll A from the cyanobacteria. So therefore, from the AlgaeTorch, you get an overview. From other instruments like an online analyzer, like the fluoroprobe, you can get more information about the distinct classes. Does this answer your question? Yes.
Yes. It means we can check every species of algae by AlgaeTorch, right?
You cannot differentiate between the different classes. You get only the total chlorophyll from all of the algae which are inside. So AlgaeTorch measures total chlorophyll, all algae, while fluoroprobe and algae online analyzer measures the different classes beside one another.
Yes.
Yeah, okay?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
You're welcome.
welcome.
Chị Duyên có cái AlgaeTorch chưa ạ?
Dạ chưa.
Torch chưa ạ? Nếu mà chưa có thì để bên em gửi qua cho chị để chị tham khảo thêm.
Dạ, cảm ơn.
We can send to you scientific literature that describes the different algae classes, how this is managed. And what I think it is important to know is that if you look for our small movie that was presented here during this session, you will see how this will be done. When you look at the AlgaeTorch at the front of this instrument, you see the different light sources. You have a green light. You have a... Yeah, Baba, can you show it?
Yeah, I'm going to bring it.
Can you show it? Yeah, then you see the different light sources, 3 colors that are used to excite all the pigments of the algae. Yeah, and that's a nice picture of the front of the instrument. And with these light sources, we can excite all algae, not only the diatoms, but all of the algae.
Yes, thank you.
All right.
Yes.
So it is very easy to perform this analysis. Of course, it does not replace other analysis, but if you are at site and you have to decide what is inside of the water, what has to be done in the management, you will get a rapid information about the algae content. So therefore, it is the fastest way to get the analysis from the water that you want to evaluate for the quality, And here the AlgaeTorch serves the very best way to determine not only the content of algae, but also the content of the potential harmful cyanobacteria.
Yes.
All right.
Okay, thank you for the explanation. Chị Loan ơi,
Thank you.
chị chưa có câu hỏi gì nữa không ạ? Cái câu trả lời của bác ấy chị Duyên đã có rõ cho chị không ạ?
Dạ, ý của bác nói là mình có thể check tất cả các loại tảo bằng cái máy này, tại vì cái đầu cảm biến nó có thể cảm ứng được nhiều cái bước sóng khác nhau, phải không chị?
Dạ đúng rồi, bởi vì nó có tạo ra có nhiều các cái nguồn điện tạo ra cái light khác nhau đấy ạ, thì nó sẽ đo được cái pigments của các cái loại tảo khác nhau, rồi các cái con bacteria, các cái vi khuẩn khác nhau, cho nên nó có thể áp dụng được để đo tất cả các cái tảo và các cái con vi khuẩn có hại, trong đó bao gồm cả diorton mà chị hỏi ạ. Thì bác ấy cũng bảo là nếu mà chị cần thì bác sẽ gửi cho chị một cái bài báo khoa học về cái phương pháp phân tích này ấy, nếu mà chị cần.
Dạ. Tại vì hiện giờ là bên em cũng đang xài một cái máy là nó có đo được chlorophyll A với Reeco everything. Cái máy đó là cái ESO1 của hãng YSI á.
Dạ. Vâng.
Thì bây giờ hiện giờ là nó chỉ check được cái nồng độ chlorophyll A với lại Reeco everything mà ở mức độ là microgram trên lít thôi, chứ nó chưa có đưa ra được luôn cái mật độ của tảo, từng loại tảo trong đó.
Ok, chị thế thì chị có thể viết cho bên em một cái email ấy để yêu cầu về một cái loại máy mà chị mong muốn là để sử dụng cho cái mục đích riêng của mình ấy, tức là cái ứng dụng riêng của mình á, thì bên em sẽ chuyển sang bên DBE để nhờ tư vấn, rồi gửi cho chị cái thông tin của cái máy mà nó có thể đáp ứng các cái yêu cầu của mình, được không ạ?
Dạ.
Dạ vâng, em cảm ơn. So she is looking for a equipment to measure the concentration of algae in water. So I just asked her to to put in a request, and we will send it over to you for any recommendation on such equipment. Yeah.
Okay. So the application is for, my question is that the application is for laboratory analysis, or they want to do the profiling in the field? What is the application of this measurement?
Chị ơi, chị muốn dùng cái thiết bị này để đo trong phòng lab hay là ở hiện trường?
Cái thiết bị bên em hiện giờ là đang đo ở ngoài hiện trường, là cầm cái đầu máy đó nhúng xuống nước rồi nó sẽ đo chlorophyll A với Reeco everything ở trong nước.
Dạ. The equipment will be used on site to measure, on site.
Then probably the fluoroprop would be the nice solution, because with fluoroprop you measure total chlorophyll A, green algae. You can classify different algae classes like green algae, cyanobacteria, diatoms, cryptophytes. So it has also yellow substance corrections. And what is the maximum depth you want to do?
Độ sâu đo mà chị cần muốn đo là độ sâu bao nhiêu?
Hiện giờ bên em là chỉ khoảng 15 cm thôi.
It's about like 15 cm from the water surface.
15 centimeter?
Centimeter, yeah. 15 centimeter. So it's not that deep. Yeah, it's just very narrow, narrow.
Yeah,
what is that?
It's shallow water.
Shallow. That is the word. Okay.
Cái máy này nó có thể đo được sâu hơn không chị?
Is this possible to measure in a deeper water?
Yeah, it is. It is a fluoroprobe specially designed for up to 100-meter depth. So indeed, it's a very excellent unit that you can submerge the probe in the water, and you can see the profile of different algae classes simultaneously. So
Okay, cool. Cái máy này nó có thể đo tới độ sâu lên tới 100 mét, và điều đó có nghĩa là chị có thể đo được nồng độ tảo khác nhau tại các tầng lớp, tầng sâu khác nhau.
But for the shallow waters, of course, the AlgaeTorch is a suitable instrument because it just has to dip it inside of the water and perform this measurement. If you want to go deeper, then of course you can also use the AlgaeTorch up to 10 meters, but it is not very comfortable. Much more comfortable is to use the submersible fluoroprobe, where you get more information and you have a much higher frequency of measurements. That means that you get a very dense amount of data while profiling.
Biết tên chị nghe. Dạ chị nghe được không ạ? Chị có hiểu. Nghĩa là ý của bác là cái máy AlgaeTorch ấy, nó có thể đo tới cái độ sâu lên tới 10 mét. Còn nếu mà mình dùng thêm cái máy mà FluoroTorch ấy, thì nó sẽ có thể đo độ sâu lên tới bao nhiêu 100 mét. Điều đó có nghĩa là mình có thể là đo được nồng độ tảo và và bacteria tại các cái tầng sâu khác nhau để tạo ra được một cái nghĩa là cái nhìn tổng thể về cái sự thay đổi của nồng độ tảo và nồng độ của con vi khuẩn tại các độ sâu khác nhau. Thì đấy là hai cái dòng máy mà bên VBE đang có. Chị còn câu hỏi gì nữa không ạ?
Dạ không.
Dạ cảm ơn chị. Okay. Hey Bebek, hey Babak, I'm sorry, we have some question on the chat window right now.
Yeah, before going to this question, I just want to show you what Dr. Flose mentioned. In the fluoroprobe, the measurement is in the middle of sensor. So in the AlgaeTorch, but it is at the end of the sensor. So for shallow water, it's very convenient to use AlgaeTorch. But when, for example, if you have 15 centimeter, I don't know how we can use fluoroprobe there. So normally it is designed for deep water. But you can find more information here on our web page and how we are doing measurement and many information, nice information you see here. It is for total chlorophyll concentration of our green algae diatoms. That was your interest. And yeah, so if you want also more information, you can contact with Chloe or Gong. By the way, so the question, let me read it.
Okay.
I have a question about the measurement technique. If I measure in standing or flow water, do I need any notes? I think that the question is that for this good measurement, the flowing, if I understand good, the flowing water affect our measurement, or we should take care?
No. This is a good situation. If you have flow water or standing water, it does not matter because you have a very high frequency of measurement. You may imagine that we have a frequency of 8,000 hertz. That is the pulsation of the light beams. That means you have 8,000 excitations per second where you excite all the algae. That means you have a very fast excitation and you get a very fast response. So therefore, it's quite good to use this also in flowing water. For example, we have a fluoroprobe that is used inside of a tube in the city of Tokyo, where they produce fresh water for drinking water. And they put the fluoroprobe inside of this tube to measure the flowing water for the algae content of different algae classes. That means you can use fast flowing water But you can also, of course, use this in standing water. For example, if you have stratified water in a lake, yeah, then you can perform this measurement just profiling inside of the water. So it does not matter if you have flowing water or standing water, it works in both cases.
But I have one comment, Cleo. Also, in flowing water, of course, technically, practically, if you are, it depends on the current, how much big is the current of this flow. Sometimes the flow rate is too high and you are putting the sensor here and you see the sensor moved in front. So sometimes maybe you will need some weights to make it to make it a profile in a vertical position down the water. So, but in the technical, in the principle of the measurement, as that the Flosa mentioned, there is no difference, and we can measure in flowing or static water, steady water.
Okay, yeah, thank you. So there is no limitation about the flow rate for this equipment. Okay, I just want to make sure. Dạ anh Phạm ơi, anh Phương.
There is another one also question.
Yes, yes. I Luyến Phạm. Luyến Phạm. Dạ anh Luyến ơi. Chị ạ. Vâng. Dạ. Bên hãng ấy, người ta có trả lời là nghĩa là cái thiết bị AlgaeTorch này hoàn toàn có thể đo được trong cái vùng nước tĩnh và nước chảy, và bởi vì là cái thiết bị này nó có cái frequency rất là lớn, nghĩa là 8.000 Hz, cho nên là cái việc đo của nó rất là nhanh. Chính vì thế cho nên cái dòng chảy nó không hề tác động tới cái khả năng đo tảo của cái thiết bị. Và anh Ba Bác có nhấn mạnh trên rằng là nếu mà mình muốn đo tảo tại các cái độ sâu khác nhau để mà so sánh cái nồng độ tảo tại các độ sâu khác nhau ấy ạ, thì mình nên cố định cái đầu đo lại, thì bởi vì là dòng chảy nó sẽ làm cho cái đầu đo nó di chuyển lên xuống, nên mình có thể cố định dòng đầu đo lại thì lúc đó sẽ có thể là đo được cái chính xác cái độ sâu đó. Nhưng mà nói tóm lại là cái thiết bị này hoàn toàn có thể đo được trong cái vùng nước chảy mạnh cũng không sao cả, đo được cả nước tĩnh và nước chảy mạnh. Em hy vọng là hai anh bên hãng BBE đã trả lời được cái câu hỏi của anh. Anh còn có cái câu hỏi gì nữa không ạ? Anh Luyến, chị Luyến. Dạ chị Luyến còn câu hỏi gì nữa không ạ? Chị Yeah, okay. I think she's okay with the answer. She doesn't have any more question. So we may want to move to another question.
Yeah. The question is that unit of AlgaeTorch is chlorophyll A. Does it have unit cell per milliliter? I again asked Dr. Flose to advise us, and I will show also the data of real measurement, by the way, in this between.
Yes, it is possible to convert the chlorophyll content into cell per milliliter or liter. Here now we have only liter. Yes, you show us a picture of it. It is a question of the conversion factor. There is a quite fair relation between the chlorophyll content and the cell numbers. But you have to be careful, because in the same class, sometimes the algae have very big cells, and sometimes they are very small. And this means that the big cells, they may contain more chlorophyll A than the smaller cells. And that means that you will have the problem to find a very good conversion factor. We tried to use an average value. For example, I collected data from many different places, from many different users, to find out a conversion factor between chlorophyll A and the cell numbers. So therefore, we have this conversion, but you have to be careful. You can do this, you can change this by yourself if you think to improve this. We prefer the content of chlorophyll A because the fluorescence is directly linked to the content of the chlorophyll A. And the cell number is not always directly linked to the content, to the fluorescence measurement. So therefore, you will have an estimation and you can switch from chlorophyll A to cell numbers. But be careful.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So, Chloe, maybe you can.
Yes. Chào bạn Phước. Bên hãng người ta trả lời là bạn hoàn toàn có thể có thể dùng một cái bảng chuyển để chuyển cái đơn vị từ chlor A per liter sang cái đơn vị là cell per meter hoặc ml. Thì hai anh ấy có vừa mới trình bày về cái cách mà chuyển ở trên sử dụng một cái bảng chuyển đổi, thì bạn có thể sử dụng bảng đó để chuyển đổi cho cái việc nghiên cứu của mình. Thì nếu bạn có câu hỏi gì khác không thì bạn có câu hỏi gì nữa không ạ? Về cái vấn đề chuyển đổi đơn vị không ạ?
Okay. There is also another question.
Right.
You only show advantage of your equipment. It is good if you also tell us about the limitation. Detlef, can we mention something about our probe limitation? Actually, in our webpage, there is some measuring range, resolution, lower detection limit. You can find it. For example, the lower detection limit is 0.15 microgram chlorophyll per liter. And also we can compensate turbidity up to 200 FTU. But if you have any other advices, Detlef, would you please advise?
Yeah, of course. Because fluorescence is a very sensitive method, you will not find measurement range above 500 microgram per liters. So for example, if you have very high chlorophyll content, this fluorescence measurement is limited. That means if you are try to measure scum at the surface, for example, then it becomes very difficult to get an exact value for the chlorophyll content or for the algae content. It is one limitation. The second one, but it is very similar, is if you have colonies. So high density of algae very close to one another. That means that if you have such colonies inside of the water, the density is also very high. That limits also the range of the measurement. And what you can see, for example, then that when you have the colonies inside of the water, you find often a fluctuation of the measurements. But you can already see by visual inspection. These colonies are clearly seen by naked eye if you look inside the water. Another one is what Babak already mentioned, but it is very important to know. It is turbidity. If you have too many particles inside of the water, consider, for example, monsoon, where the water is full of particles, then there is not that much light enough to excite all these algae. And here we have a limitation. Babak shows us it is higher than 200 FTU. You cannot measure exactly, but the only instrument that perform this correction are our instruments, so that no other manufacturer offers such a compensation for the turbidity. So this means that on one side it is an advantage of our instrument, but from the theory it is not possible to measure at higher turbidities as shown here in this table. So therefore this is a limitation. Another limitation is, of course, the depth. For example, the AlgaeTorch goes down to, let's say, 10 meter, on extended version goes down to 100 meter. And the submersible fluoroprobe is usually used only to 100 meter, which is sufficient, of course, to catch the photic zone where all the algae are distributed, because they need the light from the sun to make photosynthesis. We have another instrument for deep ocean, which goes down to 1,000 meter. It needs, let's say, a more pressure-resistant housing. But this is also a limitation, 1,000 meter, then that it covers the maximum depth. So therefore, we have here the limitations of the instrument. The last one, which I would like to mention, is that the fluorometric approach covers only, let's say, a coarse discrimination of the algae classes. When you look inside of the microscope, you can distinguish, let's say, down to the level of species. Here with the fluorometric device, we can distinguish only up to 5 different algae classes, but in a very, very rapid way. So therefore, you get the rapid information, but not in that depth when you look, for example, for the level of species. So therefore, this is a limitation. And at the end, I can say the fluorometric method is a very fast, but an only approach to get more information in a rapid way. If you want to go more inside, want to determine the level of species, you have to use other methods.
Yeah, thank you very much, Detlef. I wish that this was quite enough. There is another question, Cleo. I cannot read, of course. I will try to improve my Vietnamese, but would you please
Okay,
take a look?
Yeah. Okay, please let me translate the answer to Hoàn Trần, anh Hoàn. Dạ, anh Hoàn đúng không ạ? Anh Hoan. Dạ vâng, thì để trả lời câu hỏi của anh thì thì để trả lời câu hỏi của anh thì hai anh ở bên BBE nói rằng nếu mà nhìn vào cái bảng cái gọi là cái brochure của cái thiết bị này thì có chỉ ra rằng là cái limit đo của cái thiết bị này là chỉ đo ở dưới 0.15 mg trên lít chlorophyll và chỉ đo được với cái chất lượng nước mà có cái độ đục mà nhỏ hơn 200 FTU thôi, thì đấy là cái limitation của nó. Thì họ cũng có viết rõ ràng ở trong cái bản specification rồi. Đồng thời đồng thời thì các anh ấy cũng có nói thêm là chẳng hạn như các cái phương pháp này thì bởi vì là nó sử dụng nó dựa vào cái gọi là quang hợp ấy ạ, cho nên là nếu mà đo dưới độ sâu mà 1.000 mét ấy, dưới cái độ sâu 1.000 mét thì nó cũng có thể là gây ra một cái sự không chính xác, bởi vì là độ sâu rất là lớn, giả sử đấy 1.000 mét. Và đồng thời là nếu mà dùng cái phương pháp mà flowmetric method ấy, ở độ sâu lớn ấy, thì nó cũng có thể là nó cũng khó có thể nó chỉ có thể là phân loại được khoảng 5 các cái loại nó khó có thể phân biệt được cái gọi là cái level của các cái species, nghĩa là cái level ở đây nghĩa là dạ vâng, nghĩa là
định loại của nó
các cái loài nó có cái cái định loại các cái level khác nhau đấy, các species. Dạ vâng, nếu mà ở cái độ sâu quá cao, đấy là cái mà người ta các anh ấy giải thích là như thế. Vâng, thì bây giờ anh còn câu hỏi gì hoặc là có cái gì mà không rõ nữa không để em hỏi lại các anh nhé.
Vâng, cảm ơn các anh chị.
Dạ. Yeah, he's yeah. Em cảm ơn. He's okay with the question. He doesn't have any more question or need any more clarification.
Good. Okay, great.
Dạ.
So I think that
có ai còn câu hỏi nữa ạ? Okay. Yeah.
So I think that we are getting out of the time, so we should finalize our meeting. First of all, I appreciate Reeco for this arrangement. So if you have any further questions in the future, you can contact with Reeco and we will do our best to support and give services to you. So
okay.
Hello, last sentence.
Okay, thank you very much. for the presentation and for helping out with the answers. Mọi người ơi, nếu mà ai mà có câu hỏi gì khác thì có thể viết email cho Reecotech và Reecotech sẽ gửi qua cho bên BBE ạ. Cảm ơn tất cả mọi người đã tham gia buổi hội thảo ngày hôm nay ạ. Okay, I think we are good.
So
Okay.
we recorded this video and we will forward it to you tomorrow, and then you can share with everyone who is interested or couldn't take part in this webinar. Yeah. So
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you very much.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Thank you very much. Thank you.
See you. Bye bye.
Thank
Bye
you.
bye.
Bye.
Bye.